Barrett, welcome to Access All Areas. We're heading into round 15 and can you believe it? The reigning premier Hawthorn is on top of the ladder and apparently not playing their best football, Matthew Lloyd.
Yeah, Damo was one of those guys 4 weeks ago who thought that the Hawks couldn't win it. They are well and truly in the hunt for this flag, sitting on top of the ladder. I think they've come back to the field in a few areas, particularly their depth isn't what it was. I think they're not as dynamic around stoppages, but their top-end talent, Rioli, Bruce, Gunston, Mitchell, Gibson, all those guys, they just keep getting the job done week after week.
As weird as it may sound, they actually may not have to be as good as they've been the past 3 years to actually win it in 2016.
Yeah, it's not a bad point. I just think, who's that club that's going to stand up and take it off them? No one's jumped up just yet.
The Saints did a nice job on Geelong on the weekend, Lordy. They've had issues throughout the course of 2016, but their good is very good.
Yeah, their manic pressure on the weekend, Damo, was just something to see. I thought what Carlton did to to Geelong a number of weeks ago, St Kilda did exactly the same. They went in with a great plan. Seb Ross played off Dangerfield. It wasn't a hard tag, but he was probably the best man on the ground, so it's a fair feather in his cap, Damo.
So what did he do, just for those who didn't analyse it?
I think he was just really aggressive around stoppages. The pressure here, you look at Dangerfield, he made mistakes like this in the first half. I only made 6 or 7 errors that he wouldn't normally make due to the pressure. I just thought they went third man up to stop Blixarve's advantage.
Right.
But I just thought, number one, the pressure and the way they spooked aside, that's not that quick in Geelong, was the difference in this game, and I thought that was brilliant. And just thought the 3 talls they went with occupied Lonergan, Taylor. They couldn't repel like they normally do, and Henderson as well.
Yeah, it's been an issue, hasn't it, for the Cats in the games they've lost, the run out of the back line, and you felt the Saints clearly went in with a plan to make that a positive for them.
Yeah, because I think the biggest weakness is that they haven't got a running half back. You know, you look at Johannesson and Murphy and these guys at the Western Bulldogs. Geelong haven't got one, and they had no run whatsoever, and got pressured into making many errors.
Jack Stevens already got a couple of best and fairest under his belt. He's headed for another one, I would have thought, this year. Just his amazing ability to run all game, Lord. We're just going to show some incidents here with him. Look at the time remaining in this game. This is a man who's run hard all night, and yet he's putting in effort upon effort upon effort here. Yeah,
that's why he was the best man on the ground in this game. And you're right, I think he's been underrated for the player he's been because they've had a lack of success. But yeah, you're right, 2 best and fairest. One effort after the other. Inspirational, Jack Stephen, and may well be a captain of the club down the track.
Do you think he's ready now? That's been the slows on him.
To be captain?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. They just keep going back to Revolt.
Yeah.
But maybe with Revolt playing next year, maybe they hand it over to someone like Stephen and give him a help while Revolt's still there.
Had to kick a couple of goals late in the piece to win the game. One of those goals was kicked by this young man, Jade Gresham, who really showed some composure for someone so young.
He's got a freakish nature about him. I think Petrarca's got it at Melbourne. He was a number 2 draft pick, Petrarca. But this guy, I've seen him do it 3 or 4 times this year for a first-year player. You can see why they took him quite early. He's got so much poise, composure and a freakish ability.
If he missed the goal here, Lord, and again, I love players taking the game on and doing the miraculous as he's doing here, but if he misses it, does he have ramifications to pay?
I think there was no one inboard, so I think he made the right call there.
Okay. Jack Newnes, interesting celebrations. You're a big celebrator. I used to love a goal, and you kick many of them, 926 of them, but Jack Newnes doesn't kick as many as you, but when he does, he likes showing it this way.
Yeah, I'm not sure I ever kissed my teammates on the chest like that before, Damo, but I think he's superstitious. I was very superstitious as well, so we see a kiss there on the chest of Paddy McCartan, another kiss on the arm, and goes for another one. He's running back to the position. So, no, good to see Newnes. He's in good form.
A couple of wins on the trot now. Got Gold Coast on the weekend away, the Saints. They need to win it, don't they? Just to, I suppose, take away that tease tag that I still have on them.
Yeah, I've been disappointed with them over previous years because I think they've got to be better than what they have been. But their last 2 weeks have been brilliant, which is fantastic for St Kilda. A sad story overnight, Damo. Ben Cousins obviously was incoherent on the streets of Perth and had to be taken away by ambulance in a hospital overnight. You've been covering this for 10 years and also over the last 2 weeks you broke a big story on the 10-year anniversary of their flag. Where do you see this all going?
It's just very sad and worrying for the people around it, Lord. You're right. I mean, the one you referred to was a couple of weeks ago. We did something pretty big on the footy show and had a lot of people who were involved at the time and are still involved in Ben's life. And there's just genuine concern that these types of incidents that you referred to overnight were ones that involved police on this occasion, just looking after Ben. But there's several acts of this type that have been happening over the last couple of years that don't reach police involvement, but they are equally worrying for all those people around Ben Cousins. And with the unofficial and low-key reunion that they've got on this weekend, it's a worry that the captain or the once captain of that team is not certainly unlikely to be there.
Yeah, they're really sad. Another big story, obviously, the last week dominated headlines was obviously the Caroline Wilson story, and Triple M were boycotted by Richmond over the weekend. No Richmond player spoke, and on your sliding doors on the AFL.com.au, you wrote a column on your sliding doors column there, and you said the Tigers have earned the right. I'm not sure the Tigers have earned the right to trailblaze such a positive action. It drew this response from Matthew Richardson on 3AW. He said, if he, Barrett, is saying you can only stand up for community issues if you have won premierships or have been a successful club, that is ridiculous. So is that where you were going with that comment you made?
No, I know where he's stretched it in. I mean, look, just so we don't get misconstrued here, look, the learnings out of the conversation of which I was part are very real and ones that I take very seriously, and it does not lip service to say that we have all learned, and myself included, Lordo, but I don't think Richmond is the best placed club to then come in. I would have thought that what happened with Richmond, particularly with Dustin Martin, and specifically with Dustin Martin in the off-season, precluded that football club from having any form of leadership role in this space. It's a very fresh issue, and while Matthew Richardson and others will say that the investigation into Martin went away, there were still some very serious issues over what Dustin Martin did on that night, and that was entirely my point on that. And I don't want him or need him to take and stretch what I've been saying into other zones.
OK. Another club who's got issues, Damo, is the Brisbane Lions, and one of their best players over a number of years has been Pierce Hanley, and he is probably one of the biggest disappointments of the year, and we'll get to that later on. 10 disposals he had on the weekend, but the body language. You can take losing, but when it's body language like this from a leader, it hurts the younger players around you.
OK, a couple of things. Why didn't Justin Lepage take him from the field?
They don't do it anymore, coaches. They just don't drag players because of the rotations.
And do you think that the price to pay for that, because it was really ordinary, wasn't it, that it may well be a stint in the NEAFL next week?
Maybe. I'm not sure they've got that luxury, but maybe he does need to make a statement.
OK. Trade period 2013. Lordy, love clubs that take a bold decision, as Melbourne did in this year when they packaged up pick 2 to get 2 very good players in Dom Tyson and Christian Sallen. That pick 2 went to GWS, and Josh Kelly is now becoming the player that pretty much everyone knew he was going to be. It's never going to go away, this question, and it may not have an answer ever, even after another 10 years of football. But I think if you're GWS, you're pretty happy. And I think if you're Melbourne, you're also happy. But I think GWS, arguably, slightly in front.
Yeah, in 10 years' time, I think Kelly will be seen as the best player and the most high-grade, A-grade player. But I think overall, it's a win-win for both clubs. It's what Melbourne needed. They needed 2 players. They just didn't want the one, and it's worked out quite well. OK.
Tony Lockett, when he played for St Kilda in the year before he went and played the Swans, had a couple of kicks into a crowd at the SCG that were very dangerous. This is friendly fire here, Lordo, with Jeremy Cameron up there in Sydney on the weekend. Yeah,
last quarter, late in the game, dominated by Carlton, but by the Giants late in this match. But this one I thought quite funny. These security guards, I'm not sure really what they do. They just sit there, they can't even watch the play there, and just at the last minute, I think he was dozing off, this guy, and chilly night, rugged up, and just saw the ball coming in his direction. OK,
the marquee game, Friday night football, was anything but on the weekend just gone. Collingwood beat Fremantle. The only highlight, Lordy, was Dane Swan taking over the Collingwood Twitter account for the night, and Tom Phillips, who managed to kick this goal, had this to say about him by Dane Swan. Nice by that young kid to kick his first goal. I'll have to meet him Monday. Knowing Swanee, that could well be fact.
Yeah, that's right. He's been away most of the year, probably Swanee. Quirky character, great for the game, Dane Swan. And Phillips, I thought, was in the best 5 players for Collingwood on Friday night.
And you're still proud of what you did on the footy field once by way of soccer-style goal kicking. Mason Cox, the big American, once was a goalkeeper in the States in soccer.
Yeah, we interviewed him on Saturday morning, actually, and he said people talk about my basketball background but forget about my soccer background, and there's no doubt, it's coming to the fore with his AFL football. What about this one here? Just the thought process to go back heel to his captain, Scotty Pendlebury. It hasn't. I know, Damo, I got a goal of the year from doing this, and it's not to that quality, but still, it wasn't bad from the young man.
OK, Mason Cox, Darcy Moore when he comes back, and Travis Cloke. Is there room for all 3 in the one team?
Unfortunately, I think Cloke will be left out again.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that he's put his hand up this week. Actually, Darcy Moore. So big decisions at selection. The next game, Collingwood play.
OK, Lordy, with the middle of the bye rounds as we are into right now, we're going to take a look on Access earlier. Is it a few short, sharp and hard questions? And the first one is to you. Who will be the captain of Essendon next year?
I think Dyson Heppel takes over. A fresh start, I think, Damo, for the Bombers there. For you, where will Josh Jenkins be playing in 2017?
A bit to play out on that front, but I do expect him to stay at the Crows. Who's been the most disappointing player so far this season?
I'll name 2. I think 2 men were spoken about. Travis Cloke and Pierce Hanley have been the most disappointing this year. Damo, who's more in love with themselves on Twitter, Kanye West or the Herald Sun?
Kanye's very good in that space, but the Herald Sun boys, I think, have got him covered, even by his standards, Lordy. Hey, who's going to be at the full forward for the Bulldogs in week 1 of the finals? Jack Redpath or Tom Boyd?
I'll go Jack Redpath. I think Boyd's missed too much football and Redpath makes Stringer a better player.
Yep.
Who's more of an expert at passing the blame, Damo, the AFLPA or the Etihad Stadium management?
Oh, they're both very good at it, and you might want to even throw in the AFL as well on that issue of artificial turf. Lottie, the captain's pick for a starting side in 2017. Who do you choose, Fife or Dangerfield?
Oh, tough one, but I think for his explosive power, I'd take Paddy Dangerfield over Nathan Fife. Where will Michael Hurley play next season?
Again, a bit to play out like Jenkins, but I expect it to be at the club he's currently at, Essendon. And I want to stick with the Bombers, or at least the Bombers player. Where will Joe Watson be playing? Or sorry, will Joe Watson be playing football next year?
Yes, he will, and I expect it to be the Essendon Footy Club. It'd be very sad if it wasn't the case. How many, Damo, of Dion Prestia, Jager O'Meara and David Swallow will stay at the Suns next year?
Next year, just the one Swallow who's contracted. And as it stands right now, I don't see the other two being there at that point. Who's going to win their next flag first, Carlton or Collingwood?
I think Collingwood have a better list. I think Bolton has coached really well with a limited list this year. Damo, can North Melbourne make it beyond a preliminary final this season?
No. For the third year in a row, I reckon the top four will be their ceiling. And who's been the most surprising team for you in 2016?
The Giants. Not that they've made the 8, but that they may finish top 2 and will be in a preliminary final this year.
OK. And the ratings, Lordo?
Who will get more TV ratings, Damo? The NAB Challenge or the women's competition?
I'm big on the women's comp, but I think any competition that's played for real stake, as the women's competition will be, compared with the NAB Challenge. So women's competition on that one. And the Bombers, will they make the 8 in 2007?
No, Damo, I don't think they're ready for that. I think around the 9 to 12 mark for the Bombers next year with all their players back.
All right. Well, they're short, sharp, hard and fast. Thanks for joining us, as you do on Access All Areas. And thanks for making us the #1 site for footy news, afl.com.au. Have a good week. We'll catch you next Monday. Goodbye.